Did you know that your mind can play tricks on you? This is known as a cognitive bias in psychology. Quite fascinating, isn't it? These biases are like optical illusions, but for our brains. They warp our perception of reality, leading us to make errors in judgments or decisions. Now let's talk about the placebo effect. It's a phenomenon where a person experiences a perceived improvement in their condition due to their belief in the treatment, not the treatment itself. Remarkable, isn't it? And here's another mind-boggler. Our memories aren't as reliable as we'd like to think. They can change over time, with our brains rewriting and editing past events like a novelist. It's as if we're all wearing rose-tinted glasses when looking back at our past. So you see, psychology is not just about lying on a couch and talking about your feelings. It's about understanding the intricate workings of the human mind. Now that we've whetted your appetite with some mind-boggling facts, how about we introduce you to the people who've dedicated their lives to understanding our minds? First up, we have the man who needs no introduction, Sigmund Freud. Known as the father of psychoanalysis, Freud believed that our behaviors and feelings are largely influenced by our unconscious mind. He theorized that our unconscious is like an iceberg with the majority lurking beneath the surface, influencing our thoughts and actions. He also proposed the idea of the ID, ego, and superego, components of the mind that battle for control over our actions. Freud's theories, while controversial, have had a profound impact on psychology and even everyday language. Ever heard of a Freudian slip? Well, now you know who to thank for that. Next on our list is Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist and former student of Freud. Jung is best known for his concepts of the collective unconscious and archetypes. He suggested that we all share a part of our unconscious mind, filled with universal symbols and ideas inherited from our ancestors. This collective unconscious, he argued, influences our dreams, myths, and even our personal development. He also introduced the idea of introversion and extroversion, concepts that are still widely used in personality psychology today. And last, but certainly not least, is B.F. Skinner, an American psychologist and behaviorist. Skinner proposed that our actions are determined not by our unconscious mind, but by our environment. He believed that we learn behaviors through a process he termed operant conditioning, where behaviors are strengthened or weakened by their consequences. His work has been fundamental in fields ranging from education to animal training. These individuals have left an indelible mark on our understanding of the human psyche. They've given us insights into why we think, feel, and behave the way we do. Ever heard of the ID, ego, and superego? Well, you have Sigmund Freud to thank for that. Dive headfirst into the world of Sigmund Freud, a man as complex as the theories he proposed. Freud was the founding father of psychoanalysis, a method for treating mental illness and a theory which explains human behavior. His work was a game changer. Freud suggested that our behavior is driven by unconscious desires and conflicts. He proposed that the mind is divided into three parts: the ID, ego, and superego. Picture it as a tug of war within our minds, pulling us in different directions. The ID, being the primitive and instinctual part of our mind, is all about immediate gratification. It yearns for food when hungry, sleep when tired, and an umbrella when it rains. It's the I want part of our psyche. The ego, the realistic part of our mind, tries to satisfy the ID's desires in realistic and socially appropriate ways. It's the mediator, the voice of reason, that says, sure, you want that chocolate cake, but remember your diet. Then we have the superego, the moral compass of our minds. It's the part of us that strives for perfection and criticizes the ego's plans. It's that little voice in your head that says, that cake may taste good, but it's not good for you. Freud believed that these three parts of the mind are in constant conflict, and it's this conflict that shapes our behavior and personality. He saw human behavior as a battleground where the rational, irrational, and moral aspects of our mind struggle against each other. It's important to remember that Freud's theories were revolutionary for his time. They paved the way for a deeper understanding of the human mind and behavior, giving birth to psychoanalysis and influencing countless other psychologists. While Freud's theories have been criticized and revised over the years, their impact on psychology and our understanding of the human mind is undeniable. Freud took us on a journey into the unconscious mind, revealing the hidden forces that drive our behavior. Freud's theories, while controversial, undeniably shaped the course of psychology. Moving on from the unconscious mind, let's explore the observable behavior with B.F. Skinner. A towering figure in psychology, Skinner was a man who believed in the power of the environment. You see, for Skinner, it wasn't so much about what was going on in our heads, but rather what was happening around us that shaped our behaviors. Skinner's theory of behaviorism took a bit of a detour from the psychological mainstream. While others were busy probing the depths of the human mind, Skinner was more interested in what we could actually see and measure. He believed that our actions are not a result of our thoughts and feelings, but rather they are responses to our environment. He proposed that if we could understand the environmental factors that trigger certain behaviors, we could predict and even control human actions. So rather than focusing on the mysteries of the unconscious mind, Skinner was all about the here and now. He used a scientific approach, conducting several experiments to prove his point. His most famous experiment was probably the Skinner box. This was a controlled environment where he studied the behavior of rats and pigeons and how they responded to rewards and punishments. Skinner's work has been both hailed and criticized. Some argue that his theories reduce human behavior to mere responses to stimuli, undermining the complexity of the human mind. But regardless of the criticism, there's no denying the impact of Skinner's work. His theories have been applied in various fields, from education to business and even to the design of user interfaces. They've also been instrumental in the development of cognitive behavioral therapies, which are some of the most effective treatments for a range of psychological disorders today. So, while the thought of being controlled by our environment might seem a bit unsettling, Skinner's work has given us valuable insights into human behavior. It's shown us that we're not just passive recipients of our environment, but active participants, constantly interacting with and adapting to the world around us. Skinner's work revolutionized psychology by focusing on observable behaviors and their environmental triggers. From observable behavior to the mystical realm of archetypes, let's delve into the mind of Carl Jung. Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst, dared to tread where few had ventured before. He proposed the radical idea of the collective unconscious, a shared memory bank of sorts that houses universal mental patterns or archetypes. Intriguing, isn't it? Now let's break that down a bit. The collective unconscious, according to Jung, is not something we consciously know or control. It's like a vast subterranean network of shared psychic material that's passed down from generation to generation. It's the deep-seated, invisible framework that shapes our behaviors, feelings, and perceptions. But what really makes the collective unconscious fascinating are the archetypes. These are primordial images or universal symbols that we all recognize regardless of our culture or personal experiences. Think of them as the ancestral memories we all carry within us. Jung identified several key archetypes, including the self, the shadow, the anima and animus, and the persona. The self represents the unified consciousness and unconsciousness of an individual. The shadow is our hidden dark side, the parts of us we choose to suppress or deny. The anima and animus are the feminine and masculine aspects within each of us, respectively. Lastly, the persona is the mask or role we present to the world to protect our true self. Through these archetypes, Jung believed that we all share common myths and symbols which shape our behavior and perceptions. Imagine the same symbols stirring the same emotions in an artist in London as a farmer in rural China. It's as if we're all linked by an invisible thread, a shared psychic DNA. However, it's crucial to remember that Jung's theories, while fascinating, are not universally accepted. Critics argue that they lack empirical evidence and rely heavily on subjective interpretation. But despite these criticisms, Jung's theories continue to influence psychology, art, literature, and even pop culture. Jung's theories, while mystical, offer a unique perspective on the human psyche. So, we've only just scratched the surface of the vast and fascinating field of psychology. Today, we've taken a quick tour through the minds of Freud, Skinner, and Jung, three titans in the realm of psychology. We've seen how their theories continue to shape our understanding of human behavior. Remember, psychology is not just an academic subject. It's a journey into understanding ourselves and others. So why not embark on this journey and explore the fascinating world of psychology?